Shy Waitress signed to Billionaire's deaf mother. His reaction left everyone in tears. The quiet corner cafe. In the heart of a bustling city, where skyscrapers kissed the clouds and the streets hummed with endless ambition, there was a tiny cafe called Whispers. It was a forgotten gem, tucked between towering offices, serving strong coffee and simple sandwiches to the hurried souls who barely noticed it. Behind the counter worked Ilara Voss, a 24-year-old waitress with wide hazel eyes that seemed to hold the weight of unspoken dreams. Ilara was painfully shy. Her voice often trembled when taking orders, and she preferred the soft clink of cups to the chatter of customers. But she had a secret gift. Her hands danced with the grace of a poet when she signed. Fluent in American Sign Language since childhood, she'd learned it for her late grandmother, who had been deaf from birth. Ilara's life was a quiet rhythm of early mornings and late shifts. She lived in a cramped apartment above the cafe, her only luxuries a worn-out notebook filled with sketches of imagined worlds, and a faded photo of her grandmother smiling under a cherry blossom tree. Money was tight, rent ate half her tips, and the rest went to community college classes she squeezed in on weekends. She dreamed of becoming an interpreter, bridging worlds that silence tried to divide, but fear kept her rooted behind the counter. One rainy Tuesday afternoon, as thunder grumbled outside, the bell above the door jingled softly. In walked Alexander Hale, a 32-year-old tech billionaire whose name graced Forbes lists and whispered through boardrooms. Tall, with sharp features softened by a perpetual furrow in his brow, Alex was the CEO of Hale Innovations, a company revolutionizing AI for accessibility. Yet beneath his tailored suit and quiet confidence, he carried a private sorrow. His mother, Vivian Hale, had lost her hearing to a rare illness a decade ago. Vivian, once a vibrant concert pianist, now lived in a world of enforced silence, her hands her only voice. Alex adored her fiercely but struggled to connect. His own signing skills were basic at best, learned in hurried evenings after endless meetings. Trailing behind Alex was Vivian herself, elegant in a cashmere sweater and pearls, her silver hair swept into a neat chignon. She moved with the poise of someone who had faced loss and emerged unbroken, but her eyes betrayed a loneliness that no fortune could mend. Alex had brought her to the city for a rare day out, hoping the change of scenery might lift the fog that had settled over her since his father's death 2 years prior. "Mom, this place looks cozy," he signed clumsily, guiding her to a corner table by the window. Vivian nodded, her smile polite but distant, as she settled in with a book of poetry. Ilara watched them from behind the counter, her heart twisting. She could read lips like a book and had caught fragments of their exchange. The man's signs were earnest but awkward, fingers fumbling over words like coffee and relax. Vivian's responses were fluid, her hands weaving stories in the air, but there was a hesitation, a wall Alex couldn't quite scale. When they approached to order, Ilara's stomach knotted. Social graces weren't her forte. "Hi, what can I get for you?" she murmured, her voice barely above the patter of rain. Alex glanced at his mom, then signed to her quickly. Vivian's face lit up slightly as she signed back, her fingers spelling out Earl Grey tea, no milk, and a lemon scone, but Alex faltered, translating. Tea, Earl something, and a pastry. Ilara's shyness melted for a split second. Without thinking, she stepped forward, her hands rising instinctively. Earl Grey, black, and a lemon scone. She signed to Vivian, her movements clear and warm, like sunlight breaking through clouds. Vivian's eyes widened, a genuine spark igniting. She signed back rapidly. "You signed beautifully. Where did you learn?" The exchange flowed like a forgotten melody. Ilara blushed furiously, aware of Alex's stunned gaze, but she couldn't stop. "My grandmother, she was deaf, taught me everything." They conversed effortlessly, about the rain's rhythm mimicking piano keys, about how silence could be louder than noise. Vivian laughed, a silent ripple that crinkled her eyes, and for the first time in years she felt seen. Alex stood frozen, a mix of awe and something deeper stirring in his chest. You're incredible," he said softly, his voice thick. Ilara ducked her head, mumbling, "Just doing my job," as she hurried to prepare the order. Chapter 2, Echoes of Connection. Over the next few weeks, the Hales became Whisper's most loyal patrons. Alex's schedule was a whirlwind, global calls, investor pitches, the relentless grind of building an empire, but he'd carve out pockets of time to bring Vivian. Each visit, Ilara's signing bridged the gap. She'd recommend books Vivian might hear through their pages, share stories of her grandmother's cherry blossom festivals, and even demonstrate simple signs for Alex when Vivian stepped away. One evening, as the cafe emptied, Vivian signed to Ilara, "You remind me of myself, young and full of light. But why hide it? The world needs your voice, signed or spoken." Ilara hesitated, her fingers tracing the edge of her apron. "I'm afraid. What if I fail? What if they laugh?" Vivian's response was firm yet tender. "Fear is the loudest thief. Steal it back." Alex watched these moments, his admiration growing into something unspoken. He saw in Alara quiet strength that mirrored his mother's resilience, a reminder of the humanity he'd buried under success. One night after Vivian had retired early, Alex lingered alone, nursing a black coffee. "Ilara right," he said, his tone gentler than in boardrooms. She nodded, wiping down the counter. "My mom, she hasn't smiled like that in years, because of you, thank you." Ilara's cheeks burned. "It's nothing, she just understands." "It's everything," Alex replied, his eyes locking onto hers. "I've tried so hard to make her world bigger, but you did it in minutes, with your hands." He paused, vulnerability cracking his polished facade. "I want to learn more, properly. Would you teach me, and maybe her too if she'll let you?" The request hung in the air, heavy with possibility. Ilara's heart raced, teaching a billionaire, but Vivian's words echoed, "Steal it back." "Okay," she whispered, "but only if you promise not to laugh at my terrible jokes." From there, stolen hours unfolded. Evenings after closing, under the cafe's warm lights, Ilara became their guide. She taught Alex the poetry of signing, how love curled like a hug, how grief weighed heavy on the palms. Vivian joined sometimes, her presence a gentle anchor, sharing tales of her performing days. Laughter filled the space, silent and voiced, weaving bonds tighter than Ilara had ever known. Yet shadows lingered. Alex's world intruded, paparazzi snaps outside whispers of a merger that could swallow his days. And Ilara's fears resurfaced. A scholarship rejection letter arrived, her dreams of interpreting school slipping away. "I'm just a waitress," she confessed one night, tears brimming. "What am I doing here with you two?" Alex signed back, his gestures smoother now. "You're the bridge we needed." And more. Chapter 3, The Breaking Point. Months passed and whispers buzzed with new life. Vivian, inspired, began composing again, silent symphonies captured in video. Shared on a small online channel Ilara helped her set up. Alex's company launched an AI glove that translated signs in real time, born from late-night sketches with Ilara's input. Their trio felt unbreakable, a family forged in gestures. But fate tested them. Vivian's health faltered, a sudden vertigo from the old illness, landing her in the hospital. Monitors beeped, doctors spoke in clipped tones, and Alex paced the sterile halls, his empire forgotten. Vivian, disoriented and isolated in the cacophony, signed weakly to him, "I need Ilara, please." Alex didn't hesitate. He raced to whispers, finding Ilara mid-shift, flour-dusted from baking scones. "Come with me," he urged, his voice breaking. "She needs you, your signs. I can't do this alone." Ilara arrived breathless, her shyness shattered by urgency. In the dim hospital room, Vivian's face crumpled at the sight of her. Ilara sat by the bed, hands flying. "I'm here, you're safe, tell me everything." Words poured out, fears of fading away, regrets unspoken. Alex watched, translating haltingly for the nurses, but it was Ilara's fluency that calmed the storm. Vivian signed her deepest wish, "Play for me again, like old times, with him." Tears streamed down Vivian's cheeks as Ilara promised, "We will, all of us." Chapter 4, The Reaction That Shattered Hearts. Weeks later, Vivian was home, fragile but healing. To celebrate, Alex arranged a private recital in his sprawling penthouse overlooking the city, a space usually for galas, now transformed into an intimate haven. Candles flickered, a grand piano gleamed, and a small circle of Vivian's old musician friends gathered, interpreters at the ready. Ilara arrived last, nerves twisting her stomach. She prepared a surprise, her grandmother's cherished sign poem set to music. As the evening unfolded, Vivian took the bench, her fingers trembling at first, then soaring. The room filled with notes that danced like fireflies, and Ilara signed the melody story, *A river of sound, carrying sorrows to sea. Then came Alex's turn. He'd been practicing in secret, guided by Ilara's patient lessons. Standing beside the piano, he began to sign a composition of his own, a tribute to his mother, weaving her life's notes into gestures of gratitude and love. His hands, once clumsy, now told of her strength, her silence that taught him to listen deeper. The words formed, "You gave me the world, Mom. Now I give you mine, unbroken, unheard, but felt." Vivian watched, her hands frozen midair. Recognition dawned, then overwhelm. Silent sobs shook her shoulders as she rose, pulling Alex into an embrace. The room blurred through her tears, friends weeping openly, the interpreters faltering as emotions overtook precision. Ilara stood back, her own eyes flooding, until Vivian beckoned her forward. "Join us," she signed, "our family." Alex turned, his gaze finding Ilara's. In that moment, amid the tears, he signed to her alone, "I love you, not for the bridge you built, but for crossing it with me." His voice followed, raw and real. "Marry me, not as a savior, but as my equal in silence and song." Ilara's world tilted. The shy waitress, once hidden in shadows, stepped into light. Her hands trembled as she signed back, "Yes," 1,000 times, then voice steady for the first time, "Yes." The penthouse erupted, not in cheers, but in a collective release. Vivian's friends signed applause, waves of joy rippling through the air. Alex pulled Ilara close, his reaction, a billionaire undone by love, leaving everyone in tears. Not of sorrow, but of the profound beauty in being truly heard. Epilogue, Whispers amplified. A year later, Whispers expanded into a community hub, offering free signing classes and accessibility workshops, funded quietly by Hale Innovations. Ilara, now a certified interpreter and Alex's wife, balanced her dreams with a life enriched by family. Vivian's videos went viral, her silent concerts drawing crowds who learned to listen with their eyes. In the quiet moments under cherry blossoms in a rooftop garden, Ilara would sign to Vivian and Alex, "We stole back the fear, and found our voices," and in those signs the world felt a little less silent.